Good day everyone! Kamusta? I'm Rissa Coronel, the founder and president of Silagbo PH. I'm a freelance writer and researcher currently doing my master's in UP Diliman. So I'm looking forward to today's talk with Better Today PH. I saw the importance of mental health both through school and through personal experience. So working on mental health research and going into the subject even more in grad school, you realize how overlooked the subject is and its importance is in the Philippines. So Silagbo PH is actually an intersection of my field of study, my personal experience, and my forever interest in art. So I initially started Silagbo as a passion project in around 2016, 2017. I was reading some online mental health magazines that I stumbled upon, and it prompted me to start an art and mental health blog. But then I realized it had a positive effect on people. This was around when the mental health law was close to being passed in 2018. So thanks to Senator Hontiveros and the rest of them. I asked like-minded friends from my undergrad years to join me, and building a community around causes like this is very important. I couldn't have done it without their help. So, a little more about Silagbo PH. It's an art and mental health organization that shares stories and art in the context of mental health awareness, as well as mental health education through our social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. And we also participate in events like this, where we raise awareness towards mental health. We really focus on art because we believe in art for self-expression, as well as an effective way to reduce stigma. Through artworks, the artist is able to portray their mental health messages as well as innate talents that show that they're not less than those without mental health needs. So a little more about our projects. We maintain a yearly publication of submissions, mostly art and writings about mental health, but there have also been songs and performances, and this is maintained with great care from our content editors Tracy De La Cruz, Eugene Ong, and AJ Alecanyo. I was really happy when Silagbo was called to lobby for the mental health bill at the Congress and Senate levels with other advocacy organizations. But the most memorable ones for me are the ones involving the youth. We had to host an alternative classroom experience in UP Integrated School, and we collaborated on an open mic night with Miriam College students early 2020. So you realize that these kids are so well informed, so talented, and so intelligent. They have so many great insights on mental health in the Philippines at such a young age, and it makes you happy that Gen Z, the kids, they're all right. So situating it into the COVID context, I've heard stories about professors and med school teachers who make light of depression and suicide. And some of these people are themselves healthcare professionals and mental health professionals. I hear some stories about family members who don't understand the mental health struggles of their children during the pandemic. Despite all the work that's been done already, we still need to continually advocate and educate for better mental health awareness and for others to understand its importance. So, in terms of the pandemic and Silagbo PH, we're doing more on the level of basic necessities. For example, giving provisions and donations to National Center for Mental Health, because nobody can take care of their mental health without first securing their basic safety. So, if you're interested in giving more or in our initiative for National Center for Mental Health so far, you can look at our social media to find out more about our donation drive. So it's also caused a bit of a learning curve. Silagbo's team is much more used to activities and events in person. So we tend to do a lot more on partnerships and event guestings like this rather than making our own webinars or online events, because we're still really very much getting used to the pandemic. So one isolated case since the pandemic would be on my end, I've been doing research on mental health in the COVID-19 situation, which has seen a rise in cases of mental health problems and the risk of suicide, especially in the underprivileged. So, our database of mental health resources at www.silagbo.ph/help has been getting a lot of traction, so we see the need to update it more frequently and respond to messages seeking for the best places of affordable mental health care. So, our current projects are a donation drive, as previously mentioned. It's called Tugon sa NCMH in cooperation with Tala Mental Wellness, Mental Health PH, and Buhay Community. So you can find out more on how to donate in our social media. We're also now regularly accepting submissions to our website and any artistic works on mental health at silagbo.ph. And we've recently partnered with Twitter Philippines. You could follow our Twitter at Silagbo PH for updates on our tweet chats. So far, we've done one for World Suicide Prevention Day, as well as Mental Health Month and Bullying Prevention Month. So, we're also considering online art therapy sessions headed by mental health professionals. We're a very small team, so big webinars are something that we need to prepare for well in advance. But I'll be honest and say that for me, it has been a struggle. The pandemic has undone so much of the work that I did to be alright. Isolation has been a big factor. We're not meant to be stuck in isolation for this long, but we have to be for our health. And coupled with the overwork and the lack of boundaries during this pandemic, it's just one big recipe for mental health crisis. So, if you notice that your friends or someone that you know is going through a hard time, or if you simply haven't heard from them in a while, it can help brighten their day to send them a little check-in message. So, saluhan tayo dito. So, we need to support each other in our communities more than ever. The fight for mental health is the fight for equality, the fight for the marginalized, the fight against unjust systems. And I commend advocates who use the internet as a platform for change in this regard. My greatest learning during the pandemic was how much self-care and community care matters in this year. So I knew self-care was important, but this pandemic really expanded my view that we should be responsible also within our communities. So if you're going through a lot right now, be kind, be gentle to yourself and to others. So hinay-hinay muna sa workload, and kung hindi talaga kaya, communication is key. So saluhan talaga tayo dito. What gives me hope? Causes and advocacies during these times give me a lot of hope. We often focus on the bad news. We often focus on the bad news nowadays since there's so much of it. But citizens have been silently and tirelessly doing good in their own communities. So we need more of that right now. What does being better today mean for you? Making good choices for our mental health involves single steps. It's not something that grows overnight, but the effects of self-care add up. You can do a little bit every day and make a change in your routine for yourself, and those will add up. Even if you work or take care of others, you need to hold some space for yourself. So, being better today is a necessity now in this pandemic more than ever. Because if you take care of yourself, if you be better for yourself, that means that you can also engage in your work fully with a clear mind. So the fact that we need to fight for mental health every day in any way we can inspires me to be better today. So remember the urban poor, the LGBTQIA+, indigenous people, victims of abuse, victims of this pandemic, victims of calamity. So good mental health is a right, and we need to work towards a future where everybody can properly take care of theirs.